So my plan was to drill these base plates with a big hole saw bit, but the one I had was way too big, so I just cut them with the jigsaw. Which makes them not perfectly round. So this morning I drilled a hole in the middle and bolted them together and put the grinder on them. I got them looking pretty decent. They can use a little more help. And drilled my 4 holes, and now I need to countersink each one of these and clean the surface. It's got oil from the jigsaw WD-40, and then I'll be ready to put them in place and weld them. So I'm setting the base plates. It's kind of tricky because when you move one, the other one wants to move. But I'm using a straight edge to line the holes up so it won't look too crappy. And I got one straight. I'm going to tack it, and then I'm going to go around one at a time and get them centered with the vertical and the holes turned in the right direction. Okay, we're clamped securely. All 4 measurements, including 2 diagonals, they're all good. They're well within a 1/16 of an inch. That's pretty good for me. So now I'm going to bring the console back in and get it centered and clamp it down some kind of way where it won't move, and then we'll progress with the building. So I'm not sure how well this is going to show, but I got the console squared up, centered inside the 4 verticals. And to brace it, I just put 2 plates. I drilled 2 holes through my table, and I bolted them down. So now the console is not going anywhere. Normally this would just be on the boat and you wouldn't have to do this, but I don't have a welding machine at home. I have to weld here, so I need to take the console off. On my next support, this is still kind of flimsy side to side. So I'm going to put a brace right here and the matching one on the other side. So that's my next order of business. Well, I almost made the big one, big mistake. Measured at the top, and they're way different. And I said, geez, I got this thing that wonky, what's going on? And I realized I'm measuring off the aluminum temporary braces at the bottom because they're straight and easy to measure off of. Except one's on the inside, one's on the outside, and you gotta make allowances for that, which I didn't. No big deal. Just need to loosen my bolts inside and slide it over. Whew. Got the T-top with the space on both sides the same. I got a little strut over here holding it straight. And I've cut my offset. My offset's going to go in here in the middle. And then these are my plates. So if I can hold all this together, I need to cut the aluminum there. Yeah, I got a good mark. And I need to weld this plate here, and this plastic is going to go under it, and they're going to go vertical so I can get to the bolts. So this is good. My first 2 standoffs are complete. Well, they're not complete. They're up and they're partially welded and they fit. I haven't drilled holes because I don't have a long enough drill bit here. And got some welding to do on the bottom, but after I take the T-top down, I can turn it upside down. I don't have to weld upside down. The reason I put that white piece of plastic between the brace and the console is because at some point the console will be on the boat. The finished paint will be on it, and I'll be trying to slide the T-top into place. And if it's a friction fit between those aluminum flanges, I'd probably destroy the paint. But leaving the plastic spacers out gives me a little slack to get the T-top into place, and then I can slide the spacers underneath the little brace and then through bolting. So now we got to figure out some braces for the front. I cut I cut two of my handrail 90s in half, and I'm going to re-weld them like this because I need it to be longer. So get these welded up. These are going to be braces coming off the front. Spent a lot of time on this piece. It's going to go like this from here to here. That cut was just kind of free-handed. I spent a lot of time with the grinder and the sander to get it to fit, but it fits pretty good now. I'm going to drill a hole in the console here, and I'm going to drill a hole up here so I'll have a place to chase wires from up top, because there'll be at least an anchor light and probably some courtesy lights and maybe a VHF radio and some other stuff up there. It'd be nice to have the wires in the pipe instead of exposed. So the biggest challenge will be to get this cut identical or mirror image on the other side so they'll match, the slope will match, and they'll look good. So I made a paper template of this funky cut, and I think if I unroll the paper and roll it the other way, it'll be the right template for the opposite hand. So that ought to work, right? I'll do it, and I just won't cut it all the way. I'll just keep sneaking up on it like I did this one. Our progress is the two flanges are bolted to the console and the hole is drilled for wires. This is the first one that I fit, and where it hits the vertical, I gnawed a big hole for the wires. Where it hits the vertical, I gnawed a hole for the wires, so I can hold this one in place with one hand and put a tack weld on the flange and then stop. Because if I weld it up, I'm gonna melt the console. And then with this one in place, I can hold this one up and make sure that the tops are kind of matching from side to side. And if they are, I'll circle this coupon with the Sharpie, and I'll gnaw a hole out in the middle of this one. And when I get that hole, I'll tack this flange, tack it to the flange. When I'm satisfied with the fit up top and the coupons cut out, I'll put them both in place. They'll both get tacked to the flange, and then I'll take them both off, weld them out completely and grind them, and then bolt the flanges back, and then weld the tops. It's a mouthful, but it's not that hard. We'll get it done. This is what I've found has been the easiest way to remove metal. Put a board across the back of the chop saw so the pipe won't try to launch itself, and just kind of peck at it. It cuts surprisingly easy. As long as you cut in a straight line, you can't like start cutting and then twist. That doesn't work. But just taking off little slivers with the miter saw, it's real easy, and it seems to be fairly safe. So I took these off, took these flanges, unbolted them, took them down, welded them on the ground, and did preliminary cleaning. And then I bolted them back and did some welding here and here, and did some preliminary cleaning. So now the front is basically complete, except there's a lot of welds that I'm not going to do until I get it on the ground so I can roll it to comfortable position. And I don't think this needs any strengthening, bracing, so kind of done up here. In fact, I had this long overhang, and I think I need a brace on it. So my plan is to come off like here and come straight back and 45 up to here, one on each side, and that maybe with the 1-inch tube, with this size tube, because I have a piece. And I would like to put a handhold here. It'd be kind of sharp bend, so I think I may drop down to a 3/4 inch size pipe, which I don't have. I'll have to go get. But I do have the 1-inch, so let me see if I can fabricate something here that looks good. And then at the end, maybe after I put it on the ground, I need a mounting bracket here for the anchor light, the all-around light, and I'll put some rod holders on that back, which is another reason I want to put some braces on that back pipe, make it stronger. I've got the 2 braces cut out of the 1-inch conduit, and I have a 45 roughly on one end. I didn't even measure it, I just bent it and it looked good, so I call it good. And now I need to cope this so it'll fit against the 1.5-inch conduit that runs across the back. and I could do it perfectly if I had a milling machine, but this is my milling machine, so we're gonna do what we can. So cutting the brace to fit was way easier than holding it up there while I'm getting ready to weld it. But what I did was I have this black aluminum straight edge. It's clamped, kind of give me a line from front to back. And running downhill a little bit, I'm okay with that as long as they both do the same thing. So I ended up clamping a block here and using a rubber band here to hold it. I think everything's good. So help showed up, so I went ahead and took it down off the table, although it wasn't quite ready. But I didn't need it up there anymore. This will make it just easier to move around. And I'm getting ready to, I went and picked up some 3/4 inch rigid. I'm getting ready to make a handrail. I'm going to try bending it with the hickey bar. So I came this morning and have done quite a bit of welding and grinding and sanding and re-welding. Flipping it around the floor to get to all the different angles. I'm not finished. I put this on the back. This is to mount the running light and the anchor light. And I put another 2 in the front corners. And these are for just courtesy lights, which I'll have another one there. So 3 courtesy lights. I would like to keep going, but the sun is shining and it's warm, so I really should go home and do fairing work on the hull. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm cutting a flat strip out of a piece of aluminum angle because it's what I have. And cutting on the table saw is fairly easy. You want to use a blade with as many teeth as you have. The more teeth the better, because you don't want it to take big chunks and throw them. You want to take little pieces at a time. So I was able to get 2 straight strips off of this angle. If I would have been smarter, I would have cut a hole in the top piece above the vertical so the wires could slide through. I didn't think about it. So now I'm going to have to drill through of the top tube in order to drill through the bottom of the top tube. And then I might plug the top hole and drill one from the side. I'm not sure, but I know I have to drill these for sure. And then I started drilling the hole saw hole through the top, and I realized the bit I have is way too big. It looked pretty good at first, but once I got a hole in there, it's like I'm losing too much strength of my horizontal. So I actually took the coupon out of the hole saw and welded it back into place. And I'll get a smaller hole saw tomorrow and do my holes. So my original intention was to run 2 of these flat strips, kind of break the top up into thirds. But I changed my mind. I'm just putting 1 in the very center. So I have an extra now. I ran a strip right down the middle and welded it up top just because it seems like it was the right thing to do. It will also give me a place to tie wrap wires to, because I know there'll be this is the back, there'll be a light, an anchor light and a courtesy light here, so I'll have some wires that are going up front. And I realize what I've made is an airplane wing, so I'm going to need to make sure this thing's bolted down good, or going down the highway it's gonna fly away. So I just finished welding up 100% for the 4th time. The previous 3 times, when I would start cleaning the welds with the wire brush, I would see a spot that needed some love, and now I see a spot that needs some more love. So there'll be a 5th time. It was going to be a 5th time anyway because I forgot about the feet, but we're getting really close. All of these joints will get body filler, just because that's how good a welder I am. But I'm really happy with it so far, and I don't have a grinder that'll get in these funky spots, so that's another reason I'm going to use body filler. But it's coming along, and I think I may just wrap up this video with this because nothing's going to change that you're going to be able to see. Well, that was an untrue statement. I forgot about the rod holders. So I made some little brackets, made 5 of them. So the first thing I did on some little scrap aluminum was to cut an arc that fits the 1.5-inch tube. I'm using the same hole saw, and in this case I'm able to clamp the flat piece real tight, so I'm only cutting a half of a circle and it's working okay. I'm using soapy water for a lubricant because I don't like putting the oil on the aluminum and then it makes the welds bad. It's hard to get it all off, so soapy water does fine. So after I have a semicircle cut on each little piece, I'm trimming them up with the miter saw. And I've got a 4x4 there to make it doable. Basically, you have to have something to hold the piece tight against, and if you do that and you keep your fingers out the blade, no problem. I cut all these little pieces, and I have 5 matching. So I had enough of the 1.5-inch pipe left over to make 5 pieces 10 inches long. These are going to be the rod holders. And I cut some little brackets. This is so I can get a better weld. If I didn't have these, I'd be trying to weld like that, and there's just not much contact area. But with this, I can have a better weld. So I got my first one set up here. I got the tube clamped to the table. I got the bracket set, and it's held gravity by this galvanized pipe, which is pretty heavy. And I can sight this square here and get it straight. I've got a black mark for the center, so I'm going to weld the little clips to the pipe first, and then we're going to weld the clips to the top. Okay, got all 5 of the rod holders with the bracket on, and I got them kind of cleaned up. Now the next trick will be to mount them and get them all in a straight line. So with 5, obviously one goes in the middle. So I'm thinking one just inboard of this brace, one in the middle, and one halfway. I think the best thing to do will be put the 2 outside ones mounted. I want them at 15 degrees, and then I can use those to line up the ones on the other 3, so they'll be kind of straight looking. So I got to figure out where to hold this at 15 degrees while I get a tack on it. So this is the first one I set, and I set the little clip right on my the existing weld between this corner piece and this one, because the corner pieces are identical, so that will establish an equal distance from each end. And then I set it, I got a little electronic digital, I don't know what you call it, it reads out angles, and I got it at about 20. It just looked right, so I put a little weld right here. It's not much. So then I put the other one on the other end, the same distance from the end, and instead of using the little digital machine, I did it by eye. I got across the room and got on a ladder and looked, and it looked really straight. So again, I put a little bitty tack. I'm going to put a straight edge across the top and centered the remaining 3 and clamp them to the straight edge. So I'm going to put 3 more tacks, and then I'm going to stand the whole thing up to make sure they look plumb, because I can't really tell about that. So I'll stand up. If they look plumb, we're going to weld them out and we're going to be done with this. Alright, rod holders installed. Need more welding and grinding. Probably be doing that for a while. And nobody in my family is going to hit their head, but other people might. So I'm going to try to find some sort of little plastic thing to put around the bottom, so get rid of that sharp edge. But now I think this video should be over, because nobody wants to watch the hours I'm going to spend getting this thing ready for paint. So, alright, it's been an interesting project. It's been kind of fun. So a question for my viewers. Now that the T-top is complete, I'm not so sure I need the brace around the windscreen. Although I don't have a windscreen yet, I will. So what do y'all think? I could use everybody's opinion. I'm kind of leaning toward removing it and patching the holes myself. But what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments.